welcome back. I'm going to do another opening of one of my boxes containing my Commodore 64 collection. If you didn't see the last video, go ahead and check it out. I kind of explained a little bit more, but basically these are the boxes containing my Commodore 64s that for all intents and purposes have been left untouched for about 15 years. So it's a bit of a surprise to me exactly what's in all of them. And sharing it with you guys. Hopefully there will be something interesting for you and a few surprises for me as well. Before we get started into this one, I would also show in the first one we found two other Commodore 64Cs. This one here isn't actually in one of the boxes. This is, I'm pretty sure this was actually the first one that I bought at a garage sale years ago. It's the one I've used for years kind of as my daily driver computer. Yeah, I know some people prefer the bread bin style ones to these. At least back in the day I never remember noticing that much of a difference, and this one always worked well for me, and this is just the one I used. Kept it under a dust cover for some other computer because this does not fit, but yeah, so I thought I'd show that one. That is also probably the one I'll set up hooked up to my iron disk drives, but let's crack this box open and see what we've got. Right on top we have Commodore 64, the bread bin style, with a RF cable wrapped around it. Looks like it might have done, looks like it scuffed it up a little bit. I think with a little cleaning that won't really be too noticeable. Commodore 64. Not too much to say about that. Nice though to have one of the bread bin ones as well. Probably be one or two more of those in my collection here somewhere. A cassette drive with software starter kit, Snoopy Math and Mortgage. So good thing to have. That's actually something I'd like to tinker around with a little bit more. I never really used tape drives back in the day. I always just used the disk drives. Some more joysticks. These actually look like these might be the ones that had for the Atari originally, but they will work on both the Atari and the Commodore 64. A couple of those. Okay. Yeah, I have no idea what that is. Centec Electronics. It's got one in and two outs. I'm not sure if that's the same connector as the disk drives or not. A serial connection. Yeah, it looks like it is. So I'm not entirely sure what that cartridge is actually for. I'll have to do some research and see if I can find anything about that. Ah! Oh! Actually, color me surprised again. Super Graphics Jr. Use this for interfacing with my printer back in the day. Apparently I had two of them. Look like slightly different versions. They've got different graphics on the cartridge anyway. Both of them have this kind of weird extra connector that went on the tape drive connector. I'm guessing that was probably for power. But yeah, so we've got a couple of those. Maybe more than two. What the heck? Yeah. Wow. I'm going to talk about surprises in these videos. I had absolutely no idea. So I only ever really had one printer hooked up to one of the Commodores, but apparently I had a few of these Super Graphics Juniors. That's 4 of them. Is that all of them? I think so. ports, RF cable. That one's just got an RCA jack to an RCA jack. It doesn't have the coax adapter that the other one had. Ooh, that got broken. Speed Bingo Math. Radar Racer. Or Radar Rat Race. Got Pac-Man for VIC-20. That has also seen better days, apparently. K-Star Patrol for VIC-20. 1 or 2 players, but the cartridge is actually sliding around in there and is not... Ooh. Little nails on a chalkboard there. There we go. So that, have to see if we can get that apart. Looks like somebody, possibly me, has tried prying it in the past and has not had a lot of luck. Okay. That'll be a project for some time in the future. Interesting. Some VIC-20 cartridges, though. Another Epix Fast Load cartridge. Those are always good to have. Tooth Invaders. Interesting. Commodore made in Hong Kong. Oh. Recipe box holder with a bunch of cartridges in it. Let's see what we've got. We have Cosmic Cruncher, VIC 1922, it says. Omega Race, VIC 1924. Jupiter Lander, VIC 1907. Radar Rat Race. Didn't we... Yeah, there we go. That's interesting. So there's the VIC-20 cartridge. There's the Commodore 64 cartridge. I will have to try this game out. I don't actually remember that one if I ever did play it. See if it's any good. It's interesting that's on both systems. Oh, and pinball. Hopefully that's a good one. I love me some pinball. Put those back in there for now. Just kept those relatively safe, it looks like. We have a book, apparently, that I acquired somewhere along the line. Has a whole bunch of informations and article clippings. Wow. Doesn't look like it'd be a light read, but it looks like there's some good information in there. Serial or disk drive cable. Oh. Another elbow. Found one of these in the last box. This one also looks like it's a bit of a rough ride. Things have rubbed on other things in transport, it looks like. But, not bad. Some cassettes. We have VIC-20 Space Fortress. I have no idea if any of these will still work or not. That one's penciled and I can't even read it. There's three more anyway. Canadian Tire. Canadian Tire complimentary game pack for the Commodore VIC-20. If that ain't a collector's item, I don't know what is. Probably not an awful lot of those around. Probably doesn't mean much for anybody outside of Canada, but it's kind of a neat little thing to find. I have to explore those and see if any of those even still work. It's been a while since I've tried a tape. I'm not sure how well they hold up. Oh. That's actually interesting. Obviously, I haven't been paying attention, but these are actually different. Is that for the... Okay, so that one actually fits the video connector. I don't remember any of the screens having a video input like that, though. Maybe I am just not remembering things. That is a disc/serial cable. Power supply. As I mentioned in the last group, this will need to be tested before I'm plugging a Commodore into it. I really don't want to be blowing up any of my units. Assuming they still work after being in storage for as long as they have. Okay. Some more disk drives. So this is the first... there's not much left of those feet. They're hard as rocks. But that's 1541-2. So these are the drives that I used mostly back in the day when I was playing around with these. Actually, I'd say this is one of the ones I was using. Ooh. That's not fantastic. That's one of my favorite games. The Train Escape to Normandy. Hopefully it's survived banging around inside a disk drive. Not the best way to transport. Those are probably the two I originally used. Some kind of a label off of one of the Super Graphics. Another 1541. This is one of the older style ones. This one is labeled a VIC 1541. So that's interesting. So I'm kind of getting the sense that there's a pattern here, that the ones with this gate as opposed to the toggle are labeled as VIC 1541s. This one too looks like stuff is rubbed on it in transport. It's not, you know, the end of the world. They should still work fine, but not a pristine presentation, I guess, anymore. The camera stopped recording there, hopefully not for too long, but just having a poke through some of the software. We'll go through all those in more detail at some other time. Another box of discs, apparently Jonathan's. These actually look like they're all blanks. So you can't exactly go out to the store and buy new ones. It's probably not a bad thing to have. Ah, Sky Shark. This was actually one of the few games that I actually bought new. You know, being the 90s, and sometimes you could still find these things kicking around. Yeah, I'm not exactly sure what you'd call this, but it's like a scrolling flying game, and it was actually really good. And F-18 Hornet for C64. I don't remember that one, but that's kind of cool. It's always nice to have the boxes, and those are actually in good shape too. A couple of disc boxes here. These look like these might have been kind of my go-to ones. Not exactly jumping out and recognizing the games. Got some Wheel of Fortune and Family Feud. Pathfinder. Spreadsheet 64. That's kind of cool. Star League Baseball. Family Feud. Typing Tutor. Tank Battle. And one more box of discs here. Oh, this is definitely some Midnight Magic pinball game. Awesome pinball game, actually. Pitfall, Donkey Kong. Dig Dug. Wheel of Fortune. Family Feud again. I seem to have a few of those. Karate Champ Summer Games 2. Law of the West California Games. Test Drive. Well, there's a good one. World Games. Slot Car. Double Dragon. Well, I'll stop with the riveting YouTube video of me going through discs. Go through those more at a later time, perhaps show some of those. So that is it for box 2. Interesting finds. It's good to find some of the 1541-2 drives. It's good to know that I do indeed have one of the Breadbox Commodore 64s. So, and a pile more cartridges. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please like and subscribe. You can also check me out on Twitter and Instagram as well. And until next time, keep tinkering.